And boom, we should be live. So what sort of lag we got between here and YouTube? Sorry guys, I always like to check just to see. Bloody hell.
I haven't got you yet.
No, 20 seconds. Just to see.
There you go.
There we go. 20 seconds lag to YouTube. Christ, that's a big one. Good evening, Missy. How are you?
But I don't think the actual lag is 20 seconds. I think it just took.
Yeah, it'll catch up with itself. Yeah, not too bad, Missy. I'm just taking a bit more time to myself to combat fatigue and other things, to be honest. I've not been at my best lately. I had another breathing attack last night where I had to jump out and move around and take some squirty stuff. And woke up, I just couldn't breathe. So, but my chest it's painful all the time now. Stitch, little Stitch, if you're there, resist if you're in the background, mate. I haven't got me. Oh, there is an email open up there, and that's the one to tell me welcome. I'm on live. Okay.
Yeah, little Stitch is always there. Hi, little Stitch.
Yeah, always say hello, little Stitch. Good evening, Marines. Well, it's all kicking off now, isn't it? Part of the EU alignment, as Comrade Starmer called it. Unbelievable. I mean, good evening, Moo. I mean, it is literally back into the EU via the back door. Yes, we'll be saving, shall I call them, fees that other countries are paying. But you can guarantee it's going to cost us millions in more ways than one. Especially on, as I said in the video, was it yesterday? Especially over foodstuffs and stuff like that. This open border shit, the fishing. Although, to be honest, there hasn't a lot changed over the fishing since the last agreement. Other than it's been extended, because they're supposed to discuss it and have meetings on it every 5 years, but now it's set in stone for 12. I mean, I saw the start of the decline of the fishing industry when I was down in Cornwall, and it does decimate communities, especially the small ones. But yeah, it means we'll be controlled from Brussels. We're going to be abiding by probably more. Yeah, we abide by enough now, but even more rulings of the European courts as well as the ECHR. Pardon me, which will still continue to make it near nigh impossible using petty excuses to deport certain people. I mean, this guy, he is a bigger danger than anything we faced in the 40s. Thank you, Stitch. Thank you, Resist. But, and the big news, well, it broke yesterday, was the fact that Tommy Robinson's due to be released. Yeah, about time too, as far as I'm concerned. But he was actually convicted of contempt of court. So he served his sentence, even with this 4 months reducement on it. And really, he shouldn't have to be monitored or anything. because he served his full time that he was sentenced with. But he's got these other cases hanging over his head now. I said this the other day. Me and Heather were talking. He's got the harassment charge, and I believe there is one where they were going to charge him with terrorism over something. Whether that's still on the plate, I don't know. But with that other one, I mean, that's been announced now. And basically, that will be arresting the minute he steps out the gate. So literally, they can charge him, put a load of bail restrictions on him, and then let him go. Because they certainly won't let him go without any restrictions. I'm predicting that. I can see that coming a mile away. But they won't want him out there without any form of control. You know, there's some people are saying he might go into politics. I very much doubt that. He hasn't got the attitude for that, I don't think. But hopefully he might stir a few more things up. He's had plenty of time to think, and other things have been being done in the background. Yeah, they won't want him to go without any sort of control, Missy. They'll want to keep him away from, protests, having his own rallies. That's the sort of stuff they'll ban him. Whether they'll actually ban him from London this time, I don't know. But, details to be followed with, I think, when we know more. But obviously they're not going to tell us what's going on. But, that came out of the blue. Now, the judges, when they actually heard his appeal, didn't make any decision there and then. They said they were going to give it a few days and, later on. Were they waiting for, I don't know, a little nod from comrades saying, yeah, go on, bang his sentence down a bit, let's get him out. It'll stir up more trouble on the streets. Of course it will, with all the, will I call them a cult tonight? A certain fraction of people that we know would love to see him done away with, basically. So, the police are, we'll put him out there. We'll make him a target. But, real strange one. And it's something I've never even thought about. When Starmer was announcing the outlines of their plans for deals with Europe, he mentioned the free flow of travel and what have you for under 30s. So does that make the fact that over 30s are still going to have to go through all the bollocks that everybody has to go through now? Good evening, Scar. Well, he said he'll make it easier. People will be able to use the e-gates now. Would you believe I didn't know what a fucking e-gate was? So basically, you could be able to use these e-gates providing you've got the new biometric passport, which has got facial recognition, fingerprints, probably DNA, half your life's history on it, and you'll be able to go straight through. Well, how many people are still working on old passports? Spain's already kicking up that they're missing their tourists. They seem to put everything in place to deter them coming. Yeah, it is. It's just the back door entrance, Scar. As I said, he's got his foot in the door. Good evening, Jen. He's got his foot in the door and he wants to keep it wide open. Yeah, there will be the odd one or two good things that will come out of it. I don't know what yet, but he'll find something that they'll put in there that will make them look good so they can gloat. You know. But no, it's... And with all the countries changing now their opinions of the EU and picking and choosing which rules they obey and which ones they don't, many under big fines and stuff. Is it a stable environment anyway? Personally, I'd have thought it would have been easier to go to the countries separately and work out separate deals. But there again, everything's got to travel through the EU, and we know how the French love the EU. And they'll just make it as difficult as they've been doing for stuff to get through. But as I said, for those that didn't watch the video yesterday, cheap imports, that's what kills industry here. You know, people can't afford to pick and choose what they buy when they buy food now. You know, if you see something a few pence cheaper, you're going to get it. And the EU foodstuffs will be cheaper. So again, that's going to put farmers out of business. Good evening, Gordo. Oh, look, I just noticed the sky's gone completely blue now. Just got to wait for that grey haze to start sneaking over. They look like they've been natural clouds today. It has been not as warm as it has been, but yeah, of course, Sky, it doesn't matter what this government does. It's going to cost us money. Not them, not the country, the taxpayer. Doesn't matter what it is. And the security deals, you know, with the sharing of information. Well, it was only 2 weeks ago that they refused to share information with the UK Border Force and the NCA, National Crime Agency. Yeah, there will be, Jen. They'll be forcing it. And plus, with everything going on, there's probably people panic buying. Chicken leg and salad. Well, I'm feeling that rough that literally all I had for my tea tonight was a couple of slices of toast. That's all I felt like having. I had a real rough night last night. As I said, I had the breathing attack where I couldn't breathe. I had cramps in my legs. One or two other body functions went haywire as well, but I won't discuss them. But yeah, real rough night. It's the worst one for a while. You know, this is one of the reasons I've been taking a step back on the videos lately. Just concentrate a bit more on myself. I mean, I've got no doctors or hospital appointments this week, so you know that's a bonus. I've got several next week, but some of it does seem to be getting worse. The breathing, again, this don't help. It's usually only when I'm sat here like this that I'm doing it. Yeah, toast fuel. You won't even have that because don't forget, there's no grain coming from the Ukraine, is there? You know, we were going to have bread shortages. That never materialised, did it? It's just another load of bullshit from them. And then the other day, when was it? Was it Monday? I think it was. Starmer was gloating at some conference or somewhere that they were arresting up to 30 people a day or a week. I can't remember which, for 30 words on social media. Normal people like me and you. Well, I don't call it 30 words. I prefer to say saying the truth. It's the same thing to them, isn't it? But then today, he stands there and says, we have freedom of speech in this country. But it's... you can't have both. I mean, he was asked about the Lucy Connolly case. Now, the other day, he denied knowing anything about it. That's how up with things he is in this bloody country. A big, well-publicised case like that. I mean, it's been all over social media. It's been mentioned quite a bit on mainstream media. Yet he'd never heard of it. Yeah, the vape is worse, Missy. But it keeps them cravings at bay. It's the trouble when you got a non-smoking house and you have smokers round, because I'm not going to stop anybody else smoking. It's always been known you can have a fag here, or on the odd occasions a little something else. But yeah, it's not knowing about it. And he just said, I'm against anybody that incites violence. Well, by letting the Islamists run up and down the streets by the thousand, chanting words in support of terrorists, calling for the infidel to be done away with, isn't that inciting violence? Just a thought. Well, we know there's certain protected species in this country. Got an itch now. And I think he's actually realising now that he's going to have to do a lot of U-turns. I mean, he gave the hint that, he said at the next fiscal event, which would mean the autumn budget, that they're going to adjust the payments for the winter weather payments for the olds. Yeah, he's totally off his fucking rocker stitch. He really is. So that was an obvious hint that they were going to do a U-turn, as people are calling it. But all they're going to do is change who's eligible for it, basically. And they'll still keep it out of the reach of most people.
He's done an F1 move. He looks like he's about to do a UE, but actually he's just pulling over to the other side.
Yeah. He's just trying to gain favour back by
hinting. Just jiggling it a bit.
All faces in the clock, and they all lie. I wouldn't go as that far, Scourge. Don't forget, the clock is always right twice a day.
That's a stopped clock.
Yeah. Even a broken one is right twice a day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the thing, Missy, and also they misinterpret a lot. It's not the same sort of thing, but I can remember when Holly got pulled down off of Facebook, got a ban on Facebook, for simply saying to one of her mates in America, I'm going to come over there and murder you, in jest. And they were laughing as she said it. Nope. It was misinterpreted, and that was it. No ifs, buts, gone, Yeah, morals, responsibility and integrity should be a big part whoever's running this country, and he hasn't got an ounce of it. Neither has the robot Reeves, Rachel from accounts. And don't forget the old ginger growler just sat on the light sidelines there, biding her time. You know, she's been putting her oar in now and again, but basically everything she's been doing is an absolute failure. Like their 1.5 million houses they want to build. Ain't happening. It just ain't happening. Flyby. Yeah, he thinks we're all ignorant and stupid, Flyby, and that we don't see what he's doing. I mean, you know, Rayner, if you're going to announce that you're going to build 1.5 million houses, what would be the first thing that a rational person would do? Find out if it's fucking possible. And it isn't. And she didn't. You know, when she announced it, even building supply companies, manufacturers have said, look, we won't be able to do it. There ain't enough time. There ain't enough materials. And at the moment, the Labour ain't interested. So, but there again, these are the things that I've always said. They come up with these fucking ideas and they don't think of the repercussions. You got Reeves with the new taxes. Now, half of them is going to cost more to actually retrieve those taxes than they're ever going to earn off them. So that's not revenue for the country. You know, how did she not see that? She's allegedly a businesswoman, you know. Loafer, good evening,
Don't call
mate.
her names.
But then you got the water companies. You know, they're already spouting, there could be water shortages from any time onwards because they haven't got the water to pump. Because all the reservoirs are fucking leaking, all the fucking pipes are leaking. They can't handle the sewerage coming out. They can't keep the water clean. While earning big, big money. And borrowing a lot off the government. Well, off us, basically. Which they seem to be using to pay the big bonuses and the fines they're getting for putting shit everywhere. But if they can't supply what housing's here now, how are they going to deal with another 1.5 million? It ain't happening. I mean, electricity, yeah, that could be feasible because all they'll do, and I believe that dopey bastard Miliband has already talked about it, is having more undersea cables from the continent, from the EU, and buying more off of them. It don't make sense. Everything they're doing is putting money in other countries' pockets. And in many countries, it is going in their pockets and we're not getting anything for it. All right, Jen, no worries. Yeah, exactly, Scott. I mean, yes, there is, and well, there always has been a big problem with benefit fraud.
Benefit fraud.
Benefit tripping over my own fucking tail. I glued them in, didn't I? Yeah.
Benefit
Yeah.
fraud.
I mean, you've only got to look at some of the whether they're immigrants or whether they're born here, I don't know. But how many of these alternate people are getting 3 and 4 houses, all on benefits to support God knows how many wives and kids? You know, yet we get a cap on everything. Get rid of the illegals. Deport the ones that are here. that would save absolute millions in benefits and what they pay out. Yeah, and that's the problem, Scar. People, they want people to do more and more work. They keep thinking people are better off for it, but we're not. You know, the more money that gets put out there in wages, the more prices will go up because suppliers will just say, oh, they can afford it now because they're getting more. Plus, with the savings they're making with everybody they're laying off at the moment because of taxes, you know, the big ones at the top of the table are going to be coining it in. You know, how the water companies can take bonuses after failure after failure after failure. I mean, they should have put a stop to that years ago. But it's the same in any of the big institutions, isn't it? You've only got to look at the state of the fucking government. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the boats coming across. I mean, there was 800 odd come at the last count today, which is another daily record. And apparently 2 more died after, well, they're saying medical emergencies out in the channel. Maybe they had heart attacks when they saw all the boats coming from the little flotilla that was going across to Dunkirk. And even they had to divert to go round a rescue mission. But according to the information that I've received and seen, the French actually turned 4 boats back. That's an improvement, actually turning them back. Yeah, it is. It's money for nothing, and people like them love that. I mean, I used to work for quite a big building company, countrywide. We used to have the contracts for Asda's. Whenever any of the big supermarkets were redesigned, we went in and did it, as well as small domestic projects. But I was site manager on a few of the projects, and they were quite surprised because when they, you know, if you brought a project in on time, even the small ones, there was always a bonus in it. Not much of one. But I used to share it out amongst the lads that worked in my crew. You know, I had my crew that I used to pick for different jobs. Hi, Adrian.
Evening, Adrian.
And they questioned me on it. The management, they said, well, why are we giving you the money and you're giving it to them? I said, because they're the ones doing the work. They're the ones that earn that bonus. Me sat in an office wandering around a site. That's why I didn't do it very long, because I couldn't do that. I said, they're the ones that have earned that bonus. Yes, I get the share as well. You know, and that's just the way I used to be. I wasn't going to put money in my pocket, or a lot of money in my pocket, off the backs of other people like that. I mean, one, it was a tiny little job. I bought it in well under time, and all we got was 100 quid. You know, it was only a little domestic job. And the lad said, well, you know, you keep it. What I did, I went out and bought fish and chips each day for him for lunch until it was gone. But these big corporations don't work like that. You know, whereas I say, yeah, 100 quid, they'd be talking 1 million. It's a bit different if you're an entrepreneur, shall I say, that's come up with an idea, marketed it, it works, it takes off, you make yourself a stack of money and build up a big business. That is slightly different to these guys, in the power industry and the water industry. If you've started from scratch, you've had to do a bit of work yourself. And most of the ones I've ever come across and known personally do treat their workers well and look after their workers because they value them. They're the ones that earn the money. Pay decent bonuses and decent benefits for the job. But I think the biggest one that they're arguing with at the moment, I mean, if anybody's got anything to say about anything, just chuck it in the chat, I may even open up the panel again later on, although nobody joined in last week. But yeah, the biggest one at the moment, I don't follow American politics that much, as you know. But it's been interesting what's been going on, especially what Trump intends to do with their drug issue over there. I don't mean drugs. I don't mean these zombies that are on the streets and all the cities. I mean proper healing drugs, as it were. And how much Big Pharma have been ripping people off. Yeah, they are far and few between now, Missy. I mean, my last boss was brilliant to work for. It was just that I physically couldn't do the job anymore. But yeah, Big Pharma. Now he's saying that he's going to standardise the price for the drugs for prescriptions and stuff like that. So, the poorer people have access to the drugs. And he's going to really shake up the health system over there. Good, because over there it's a mess. Absolute mess. As we know, if you're rich and you can afford your insurance, you're more likely to survive an incident than somebody that's got nothing and is on benefits over there, because all they get is second-rate treatment, and they can't afford drugs like our prescriptions here. I mean, I'm on at least 2 lifelong. I get them free from the National Health. Over there, there's people that would go without those drugs because they can't afford them. I mean, they were charging hundreds of dollars for an insulin jab. Yeah. But, not everybody agrees with what he's doing. I agree with the things that I've seen that he's been doing and wants to do wholeheartedly. Like he said, you might struggle for a while, but he said, we'll bring back manufacturing. That brings back jobs. That brings back wages. It saves the country money on buying stuff from outside the country. Why do you think everybody wants to talk deal with him? And what will we get? The Indians. We got certain ones from America. The EU is absolutely hated by Donald Trump. So we could see some of them being reversed. Now he's going to do these deals with the EU. But don't forget, none of these that he's talking about, people are getting really, really pissed off with what he intends to do. None of the details have been worked out yet. So, if he's doing these U-turns, there might well be something in there that is good for this country. But personally, I can't see it. That's why the country voted to leave the EU. And personally, I think we should have been consulted, even taking us back into the level he has now. I don't believe he should have done that off his own back. He should have at least discussed it with Parliament. He should have at least have some sort of referendum on the public on what we want. Scott, see now. So no, I wouldn't, Missy. Not with what I'm on, and especially with the regular treatment that I get. That would probably cost thousands in the States. But yeah, as you say, Scott, he's putting the US first, and that's what the leader of a country should be doing. Absolutely. Now, if we closed our borders down, I don't mean to people coming in through airports and shit like that, your regular traffic, but stop what's coming across the channel. Stop a lot of the ones that do apply and get in. Stop sending money to countries under the pretense of the net zero bollocks, especially the countries that are producing more of the crap. You know, they need to sort their own acts out. Stop feeding fucking wars. And I'll tell you what, with the money they spend abroad, this country's financial problems would very rapidly disappear. You know, you look at the numbers, and I think somebody worked out 80% of this country financially is sent abroad, and most of it we won't get any return on. I mean, the deals with India, you know, a lot of that is over steel. India is up there amongst the biggest polluters for that sort of industry. They don't give a fuck. Yeah, he is a complete wet wipe, Scott. He's an absolute clusterfuck. Same as those around him. I mean, Lammy, he's just there to insult other countries. I'm convinced of it, because he's certainly insulting to this country. I mean, the first thing that came in my head when Starmer stood up yesterday and said, we're back on the world stage. Yeah, best fucking comedy act going, you are. That's the only stage you're on. What we got on here? So even though I'm not doing the videos, you know, I've still got fucking notes everywhere, and it's just to help me remember, or, you know, note down videos. I mean, History Debunked, Simon Webb has been coming out with some crackers lately. Taxi, yeah. Well, if them photos are genuine that were posted on I think it was X, that the taxi driver allegedly took, yes, I believe he had an absolute fucking right to put €100 on the price, because it would probably cost that to have that taxi cleaned out. That was absolutely disgusting. But
pardon me for interrupting.
Yours.
Is this the one where we did the 6-hour journey with the family?
Yeah.
And the taxi was a shitter. Just in case somebody didn't know what you were talking about. That's all.
Yeah. Loafer put it in.
Yeah, I know Loafer.
As for the government or the taxpayer paying for it, well, that's where the argument started, apparently, is because they use regular taxi firms. They're given a chip for the money, and the taxi claims it. But it was the fact that he put €100 on top that apparently Lammy got upset about. That just because he fancied a bit of skiing in the Alps, I think it was, or something. But, you know, we know they do this. We know what they put on expenses. Why telling us we can't? But I believe that he can put in as many Starmer this is, as many U-turns as he likes over everything. But people aren't going to trust him. Even Labour voters that have switched have been saying, no, we wouldn't vote for him again, no matter what he does now, because he can't be trusted. Yeah, it's like the 3 shell game, innit, Scar? They put the money under one cup and all of a sudden it disappears. It's not where you thought it was. And we know that's a con, so...
Happy sleep.
Yeah, exactly, Missy. And this is what pisses me off, you know, when they claim their heating allowance that they get and get their bills paid, you know, on the level of money they're on. Because don't forget now, it's not just the parliamentary earnings. They've all got outside interests. In fairness, there are several that don't draw a parliamentary wage. What's his name? The old lanky git. I can't remember his fucking name now. Memory's gone. But he doesn't draw a wage. Farage doesn't draw a wage, a parliamentary wage. And Starmer gets 2. One as an MP and one as PM. And he still gets all his fucking bills paid. You know, unbelievable. Yeah, they're taking money off the olds and the sick. You know, this politics, Parliament needs a big shake-up. You know, I've said it before. When I was working, if I took a job in London, yes, I could command more for the job. You'd put in a higher price because the prices are higher in London. But if I had to stay up there, nobody's going to pay for my accommodation for me. Nobody's going to pay for my meals. I've got to do it all myself. Yeah, it was, Missy. The pictures I saw, you know, it had been like there'd been a family, third world family, been living in it for a week. Let's put it that way. Oh, dear. Yeah. Yeah, that was in yesterday's video. But, what do you all think about the things I've been bringing up?
Or anything else?
Or anything else? I don't want to bore you by keep rattling on about this stuff. I will talk about it if you want to.
No.
No, she says no.
No, somebody change the topic. I have had it all week.
But nobody else is saying anything.
Because most of this has come out over since Saturday, Sunday, I don't know.
What's that?
We've been talking about it for days.
What's that?
All of this, oh no, that's been going on for years.
Oh, well, they do like raking up the past in their stories sometimes. Yeah, I believe she's doing all right, Missy.
I had the commute.
Yeah, the stairs are too steep. If it was full time, wouldn't be a chance. The amount of time she'd have to go up and down them stairs.
Well, but where are we? Not next week. Not next week, but the week after. We've got a team meeting. And it is the day before my probation period runs out. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to going there.
I'll tell you what, Loafer, I haven't even looked at it, mate. I've seen a couple of pictures here and there. Oh, this one, and I just looked at the pictures. I thought, fuck me, no. Apparently, one of ABBA died the other day, didn't he? Talking about Euro, yeah, one of the blokes or something I saw.
Benny or Bjorn?
I have no idea.
Mm.
It's
ABBA death.
not a group that I entertain, to be honest.
Michael B.
Hey?
ABBA sound engineer Michael B. Tretter.
Oh, it was a sound engineer, was it?
Tragically dies age 80.
Oh, they had a picture up with it. One of ABBA dies and a picture.
Benny Anderson leads tribute. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I got that wrong then. It wasn't one of
All
them.
four members of ABBA, Agneta, Bjorn, Benny, and Anna-Frid, are still alive.
Oh, such a shame.
I was going to say, I would have heard something on the radio because I have the radio on at work.
No, all the lads used to be crazy on the blonde one. I'm like, why? I thought she was fucking ugly. Yeah, a nice body in the cat suits and that, but I thought she was ugly.
Yeah, but you like me, love. You've got weird taste.
Oh, I've got very weird taste. But yeah, I didn't take any notice of it, Loafer. It's not the sort of thing I follow. But they said there was some weirdos on there. One was just screaming and shouting, and a lot of them were politically based.
What was ours called? What the hell happened there?
I had no idea.
Haven't heard it on the radio, I must admit.
Yeah, there's lots of versions of them, Loafer.
But I do know
Missy says she loves it. Yeah, but there was one there that was screaming and shouting. Somebody reported it was directed at the Ukraine or something, you know. But that's another weird situation, isn't it? This thing with these Starmer fires, the Starmer wildfires. Now, why would three blokes from a country that Starmer has sent billions to in support want to burn any of his places? Now, you know, it's a coincidence that two of them are, well, they're being called rent boys, but they were models. I don't quite know who the third one is.
What gets me is he doesn't live in either place or have that car anymore.
No.
So why should the poor that live there or own that vehicle have to pay because it used to belong to Starmer? That's just as bad as chopping down a tree because it looks good.
Sorry, guys, my eyes have started to water.
Oh, baby's crying.
Yeah, man. The eyes have started watering again.
Don't cry. You'll be all right. Don't cry.
Put a bit of super glue in my tear ducts. But yeah, you know, I mean, with the past suppositions about his sexuality, I mean, connecting to what could be rent boys to him. And again, straight away, someone's jumped up and said they got photographic evidence. Well, if it was anything like the one with him with Lord Ali, you couldn't determine anything from it. But yeah, I mean, I've said before, it doesn't matter which way he flops. You know, it's That's up to him. You know, it wouldn't worry anybody if he was doing a good job of what he's doing, but he's not. You know, so anything like that is going to be picked up. It's going to be used. It's going to be twisted. You know, I'm not defending the clown here. I'm just saying it as it is. You know, I've said plenty of times that we've had loads of gay MPs and we've still got them.
They've all got the bottle to stand up and say, "This is me."
Yeah, gay.
If that's the way he is, and he hasn't got the bottle to come out to face the world, then no, I'm sorry.
Well, the fact that we never see his missus, there's all the things that have been said and been going on behind the scenes there. You know, it's.
Oh, they definitely think she's left him.
Oh yeah, there is something very strange going on there. Very strange.
But at the end of the day, just not living at number 10 and taking the kids back to where they were at school. I can sort of see that because they are school age, aren't they?
I believe so. Well, his son was doing his GCSEs or whatever it was when he was in Ali's flat, wasn't he? That was the excuse he used.
Yeah, but that was 5 years ago. So there might be, I don't know, university. Don't know.
Lavender marriage. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was, again, Simon Webb, I think it was, went through what he found out of Starmer's past with failed marriages for this, that, and the other, and
yeah, not very good at keeping relationships going.
But there again, how many kids did fucking Bojo have by so many different women? They only brought that up towards the end when they wanted to get rid of him.
But your life now shouldn't be about your life history.
No.
Some of it, yes, obviously. That you worked in a bank and made the tea and shit like that. And most important.
Well, to me, not one of them has got the integrity or the morals to be in the position they're in, any of that front bench. But I'm fed up of hearing these spineless wankers sat on the backbenches behind them saying they're going to do this, they don't agree with this, they rebel against him, but they don't actually fucking do anything. You know?
Mm-hmm.
At least with
oh
God, with the Tories, when they wanted one out, they had them out.
Oh, they were good, but getting well good at letters of no confidence.
I mean, obviously the shortest reign ever was fucking Liz Truss, but I haven't looked into what she's been saying, but apparently she's been coming out and talking down Labour. But there again, if she's still a Tory, she would, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Ow.
What's up?
I ache.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Oh, leave me alone with my grunts.
Yeah, you know, a lot of them, they just shouldn't be in the positions, Missy. They haven't got a clue what they're doing. I mean, Rachel from Accounts is a fucking prime example. Yeah, they've all got a dark past somewhere. You know? I mean, what could be the reason for Starmer to want to go in politics? Because what he's doing is no good for the country. yeah, they can stand there and argue all they want. It P and Qs and what have you, show their ignorance. But this lot, as far as I'm concerned, haven't achieved a fucking damn thing except for upset the whole country since they've been in power. Yeah, exactly, loafer. I mean, the fact that we had him as the COE of the Bank of England or whatever he was there,
Yeah.
you know. But he's following in fuckhead's footsteps with some of the things he's putting in. His biggest mistake was going to war or economical war with America, but well, I'll tell you what, Missy, you probably couldn't make any bigger fuck ups than what this silly one's doing now. I'll tell you. She's like a reverse of a DEI hire, isn't she?
They've been shopping on Temu.
Yeah. We need we need to throw a few spanners in the work. We'll take this lot on, put them in there. In my day, we never had youth training schemes, Missy. You went straight from school to fucking work. Most of us worked while we were at school. I mean, it's like the paper rounds, delivering things, delivery boys with his bicycle. You don't see that sort of thing. Yeah, you got Deliveroo, but good evening, Graham. If we wanted anything for ourselves, yeah, if you were lucky, you got a bit of pocket money. But if you wanted anything big, you had to go out and work for it, even if it was doing chores around the house. It wasn't given to you back then.
I had me a paper round. Had two. One in one direction, back to the shop, and then the other direction.
I used to do bits up the farm as a kid. I mean, summertime hay baling, that always did that. Used to get paid a good little wage for that one. Turkey plucking at Christmas as kids. If I had time in the mornings before I went to school, I used to help the milkman with his rounds around the village. I never had a paper round. I used to get told off first time I did it. I only lasted 2 days. And I was doing it American style, just riding past and throwing the fucking papers on the doorstep, no matter what the weather. Apparently it wasn't acceptable. But you used to get something silly like £1.50 a week, Yeah, it is. I mean, even now, Missy, I haven't worked for not a big period of time compared to some, but it's been a while. And even when they said I shouldn't work, I did try to do some, and I just couldn't do it. And that really does stick in the back of my throat because I've always worked. Welcome back, Jen. I used to enjoy working. I used to enjoy earning money. It was just the way we were brought up. My first job at 16, I was paying towards the rent on the council house my mum and dad had. When they actually bought it, the bit of savings that I'd managed to put together and one of my insurance policies got cashed in early just so they could buy the house. You know, they needed the money for the deposit. Yeah. And what did Her Grace Rachel from accounts have to say about it, Loafer? About the rise in inflation? Oh, that was unexpected. Well, we saw it coming, love. Yeah, I've been actually working. I think I was about 12, 13. The first time I spent the summer holidays on the farm. When we used to go to Ireland on holiday, I always used to spend a lot of the time working on the farm over there as well. More because there was nothing to fucking do around where we stayed out in the middle of the countryside. But my uncle used to pay me a fair adult wage. He said, you do an adult's day's work, you get an adult's day's wage. And that was me quite happy off down the pub. At 13 and 14 years old.
I'm sorry, I'm lost. Jen, what do you mean am I painting the kitchen myself? I went to get some food.
As usual this weekend, yeah. Is it?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I see.
And it's the big strike this week.
Jen's painting the kitchen.
The national strike. I thought that was this week for some reason.
Missy, I'll come with you.
Yeah, I bet Starmer wishes that would happen to him, Missy. All he gets is old Asians, isn't it?
Yeah, I got there eventually, Jen. I've done a day's work. Leave me alone, look. I'm not doing anything at the moment. Looking for ideas. Painting the kitchen isn't one I fancy. I'm with Missy.
Won't be just our kids and grandkids paying it off low for it. It'd be their kids and grandkids as well. Because that imaginary £22 billion black hole, apparently there's over a £57 billion black hole in the economy now, in the coffers. Wonder whose fault that is. No, Graham, but I know exactly what you think. Let's just say the French had some good ideas and tools to deal with people like him many years ago, didn't they? Let's put it that way. That's not a hate speech. Walking for absolutely, Graham, he is. Pardon me. Yeah, she is, Jen. He does bring it up now and again. You know, they can't take responsibility for anything themselves. You know, with the cover-ups, even though a lot of it has been uncovered, what Starmer did, especially the police investigation into Southport. You know, their statement clearly said it was not far right related. The far right did not blow it all up. But has anybody heard Starmer apologise for saying it was and calling us all far right hooligans? He can't, because he can't use the word. He doesn't know how to. And if he did, it probably wouldn't be sincere anyway. But they can never admit when they've got anything wrong. You know, and part of their original manifesto, wasn't it? They were going to be transparent government. we will know everything that's going on. Yeah, right. But as transparent as fucking treacle, this lot. Serality, good evening, bud. 22 rent boys. Yeah, maybe Starmer's bucking for his 72 virgins when he goes. Yeah, we should never have paid repatriations for slavery, Loafer. Never. Yeah, there's always going to be the race baiters and race grifters. And Lamb is the first one to bow down to them and put it all forward. Be lucky if you find half a dozen, Graham. Yeah, pension if he only serves a week. And that's the guaranteed 100 grand pension as well. Even Liz Truss gets that apparently for 42 days. It's when you think of the winter payments. I mean, the average payment. This was the figure the last time was 300 and something pound, I believe. Where you think about it, that's one day's attendance allowance in the house for them. One day. Yeah, she got shafted, but that was economical reasons, wasn't it, Graham? They didn't give a chance to have a fuck up anything else. That was bad enough. But I mean, this is the thing with Starmer. I mean, he even got pulled up for it the other day by Mr. Speaker, another scrounger, of not proposing everything he's doing to members of the Labour Party. He's just doing it all off his own back. I mean, they've told him in closed meetings, apparently a few quotes have come out where they've stood up and told him basically what a jerk he is. I mean, we all know Miliband's ideas aren't going to work. Oh, we're going to capture 48 million tons of fucking carbon a year, whatever it is. Yeah, fine. Where are you going to store it, you dick? What happens when that storage is full? What are you going to fucking do with it then? We wouldn't have the carbon if they stopped destroying the one that officially wipes most of the carbon out, which is forestation, plants. Oh, he is. He's an absolute lunatic, Jen. He hasn't got an absolute clue. I mean, who was it? It might have been Jeff Taylor, actually, was asking the other day. Oh, there's companies that are going to be making millions out of this imported energy. Well, of course, Miliband's into that, isn't he? Don't forget, he's the one that runs Energy GB. He's the one that's invested in that. He was the one that recommended it. Basically, his own fucking company. And then he wanted to move people from London to the new head office in Glasgow, I think it was, or Edinburgh. And a lot of the staff told him to go fuck themselves. They weren't going to move to Scotland. It wasn't two-tier. It wasn't our lot, Graham. It was the French that turned them back. 4 boats, apparently. They were turned back in French waters. That's what was the report was. But I would say more. They probably stopped them leaving from the beach. As soon as they got on the water, they turned them back there. Because if not, if they were a lot further out, believe me, the nutcases would have slashed the boats and insisted on being rescued. Yeah, but I'll be totally honest, Graham, that the fisheries bills that have come through over the years, they are very, very complicated. They give out the basic quotas and stuff like that. But with the continentals being allowed to fish our fishing grounds, which they have been for some time now, obviously fisheries protection and the Navy are out there. And they do regularly check them. But now all of a sudden, Starmer wants to spend more millions on fishery protection and the Navy protection vessels out there. Why does he want to increase how many we've got? Because he knows how many new boats will register. And this is the other complication in it. Not all of EU members or people from countries that are members automatically get the right to fish in our waters or theirs. There is a lot of restrictions on them, as there is ours, as most of ours are based on the EU quotas, not our own. But you got certain size boats with a certain limit on the catch. Now, a lot of the boats that only have got a small capacity, obviously their conditions are different from the bigger boats, as it were. What decimated our fishing grounds originally was the big factory ships fishing offshore, in particularly from France and Spain. And even the odd one Japanese, believe it or not, had steamed round to have a go. And that's why we had the issue with bass stocks, because they were wiping out whole shoals in one go, these super trawlers. And a bass takes years to get to breeding age. And they were indiscriminate. They haven't got size limits that we have. And the bass were almost wiped out a few years ago. They're recovering a bit now because they did put some restrictions on it. We put self-imposed restrictions on normal shore fishing, angling, fishing for bass. There's size limits, bag limits, and there is actually a closed season where you're not allowed to fish for them, and certain areas where you're not allowed to fish for them anyway. But I think you'll find, Missy, a lot of what they're doing now is smoke screens for other stuff. Now, we know we got the autumn budget coming. And a lot of people are saying now that pretty soon we could see a cabinet reshuffle. Now, if there's going to be one, I think it will be before the autumn budget, to give somebody else a go at the finances, get rid of Reeves. Rayner seems to think for some reason that she's next in line for PM, but personally I don't think many Labour voters would have that in the party. She just seems dead wood. I mean, she's failed on the building projects. She's failed on the new workers' rights bill. All right, and Graham, I know it works you up, mate. Take it easy, buddy. Stay safe.
Take care, Graham. Have a good evening.
You've changed your picture on Facebook. Oh, was that the you posted it today, didn't you?
I haven't seen it yet. I'll go and have a look.
It's like me, I don't have to worry about things like that. It doesn't grow long enough to style. You wouldn't think it used to be halfway down my back, well, and my front, because it used to look like Cousin It. Especially with the beard the same length. Yeah, take care, Graham. Thanks for joining in, mate, even if it was only brief. It's all support, as you say. Changed it last night. Yeah, that's the one I probably saw this morning. And if I remember, I gave a reaction to it. Not a comment, because I don't do things like that.
That's about the length I was thinking of having mine done, but I bottled it. But it makes your hair look so full.
I used to look like Grizzly Adams, loafer. A few of them down the pub used to call me Grizzly. And it wasn't because of my attitude.
I think you'll find it was.
Well, it's probably a little bit of it as well, but yeah, I mean, my hair was halfway down my back, and the beard was the same length at the front. It came down to about there. The worst thing I ever did, I thought it'd be cool one day to leave the beard and shave my head. Fucking hell, it started to rain. It was like people dropping bloody marbles on my head. I wouldn't go out when it was hailing. But then when I grew it back, it used to grow all fuzzy. So I started having it a bit shorter then. Laughing when she says things. Yeah, it's normally to have a poke at me, Missy, or take the piss. But that's what we do when we're just here without, the cameras being on. That's what we like. We're always taking the piss and what have you.
Some of the conversations we have, you just would not believe.
Oh, fucking. I mean, I was watching something the other night, and all of a sudden I just sat here and went whoop whoop, and then the voice in the background I heard, "Here come the police." I don't know what you fucking
darling,
on about.
It's the sound of
the sound
police.
of the police. I'm like, what are you
Whoop,
on?
whoop. It's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop.
Oh dear. Because we quite often watch the oldies channels on TV, talking pictures and that. And we'll rip the piss out of stuff on there, but we're always like this. I mean, when we went up to Liverpool to meet up with Dan and Holly and the others that turned up, they're like, "Yeah, you're just the same as you are on a live stream." I said, "Yeah. What you see is what you get,
Not an act.
No airs, no graces, to the point. But we like to have a laugh, It's amazing once we got to know each other when we first met, just how similar we are in certain respects. No, I haven't found the bullwhip yet, Jen.
I'm certain it got thrown away.
Yeah, I'm almost convinced it's dead now. I will have another look in the boxes in the loft when I have the energy to get up there. When I go back up to get the decorations down again.
Only half of them got put away. I've still got 2 boxes on the back of the bed set here.
Oh, but they're your little bits and pieces, aren't them?
Oh, yes. So they need to live downstairs all year. They're Christmas stuff.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be, Jen, we both agreed right from the start. We've both had bad relationships before. And we both got hurt in the past. We just said we wouldn't do that to each other. I won't say we're all sweetness and light. We've had our disagreements like any couple does. But we don't go out into the middle of the street beating the fuck out of each other over it. You calm down and you sit here, and all of a sudden one of us will say something and they'll laugh, and that's it. You're away again.
When he's in a mood, I just leave him to it. And eventually he forgets that he was in a mood and will turn around quite innocently and go something like, "So what are we having for tea then?" And you can see his face because he's broken the silence. And he's like, "Oh shit, I wasn't talking to her."
It was like the other night, wasn't it? We were talking about something.
Bananas.
Tomatoes, wasn't it?
Bananas. We weren't talking about anything. You mumbled something nonsensically, and I mentioned a vegetable.
Yeah, it just came. It wasn't relevant to the conversation we were having.
It just got totally ridiculous, and we ended up giggling for about half an hour. So we couldn't say anything sensible after that.
But you got two ways to go, and you either live your life like that, as happy as you can, or you sit there and get fucking depressed. And I've been depressed before, and I don't like it.
Can't see the point.
I'll tell you what, Jen, it does. I mean, quite often we'll sit here and we'll have a giggle and a laugh for 10 minutes. And the next thing, I'm laid back in my chair, I'm absolutely knackered, just laughing. I mean, some days sitting down to a meal, believe it or not, I struggle with the energy to eat. And you never know when it's going to get like that. So every time you've got a little bit of energy, you try and have a bit of fun with it.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. Say no more.
Say no more. But, I've always been sort of happy-go-lucky in some respects. Well, quite a lot of respects. A lot of people would say it's more I didn't give a fuck about anything, which equates to the same thing, I suppose.
I was going to say, it's just as good an attitude. Well,
I mean,
I was talking to a young lady the other day, and what's the point in worrying about something that probably won't happen anyway?
There's something that's out of your control that you can't do anything about.
But a lot of people tend to worry about things that might happen. And it's like, look, yeah, I could go and get in the car and drive down the road and have an accident. But if I go out thinking that, it's more likely to happen. But there's no point fretting about it now because it hasn't happened yet. But she's awfully like that.
Yeah, good evening, DJ. You just had the police round. The warrant from a broken CCTV box. Oh, they'll have some fun with that. But there again, if it's off or on, if the data's stored on there somewhere, they might be able to look at it. But mind you, they don't like Ring doorbells and shit like that, do they now? Surveillance cameras, because it catches them out. I mean, I was quite surprised, actually. I didn't watch any of it because it's not the sort of channels I watch, but I think it might even have been BBC that had advertised a series When Cops Go Bad or something. I think it's that Will Mellor, the actor that fronts it. But they're all old cases that we knew about, I'll tell you what, Missy. Heather is great on that because she doesn't have to work hard to get me to do things. Normally she would shame me into it, but she knows the ways around me. She knows what to say to get me to do something, the way to put it.
Can I tell you? Can I tell them my plan with the shoe rack?
Yeah, hang on a minute. Some men are, Missy. I will let you go to that in a minute, babe. Just while I got this in my head. Most of them bottle them up because they don't feel it's a man's place to, say, cry or anything like that. Me personally, when it's neat, I do get quite emotional sometimes. I'm never afraid of hiding it. You know, people around me know when I'm upset or I'm angry. My worst time is when I'm very, very quiet. But anyway, Mrs. W wanted to tell you a quick story. So
Yeah, I will say,
retrieve another drink.
I will say he bottles it up. He gets angry about things that he's bottled up. So I have no, if you could take that out for me, thank you, darling. So I have no idea why he's angry with me because he hasn't told me why he's angry with me. I just know he is. But the shoe rack in the hall had broken and I'd gone to get a replacement and they hadn't got anything that would fit in the gap that was the right height. I only wanted something this high and, you know, stick a few pairs of shoes on and the kids' slippers for when they come round. But they did have one that was the right width, but was twice as high as I needed. So I thought, well, I don't have to put it all together. I can just build the one half, which is what I want. So I walked in and he says, it's far too tall, it's far too big, you're going to have to fix it to the... And he goes on and on and on about it being too tall. And I just sat there and I thought, I'm not even going to tell you yet. 2 weeks nearly, it sat back there and I've waited for him to, well, you're not taking it back now, are you? I bet you've lost the receipt type of... But no, he just got up the one day and said, I'm going to put it together now. At which point I said, we'll only build half of it because that's all I want. And it was like, on his argument that it was too big and too tall and would need to be fixed to the wall. Actually, I only wanted the bottom half. And it's absolutely perfect. And he built it perfectly. But yeah, the way to get him to do things is just not to moan about them, not to whinge about them, to talk about them when he's not in a mood. But he always presumes I've done something wrong. Always.
If I'm in the wrong, I'll hold my hands up.
No, well, yeah, but you don't say sorry.
I will if it's needed.
But if it's me, it's not needed. Yeah, it's about right. But yeah, he had not given me opportunity to explain that I couldn't buy one the right size, so I'd had to buy one twice the size. It looks good now, darling, doesn't it, with your boots on?
Yeah, I don't trip over them going up the stairs now.
No, and I was sick and tired of asking you to move them, so I moved them. I got a place to put them, and I put them in it.
And mine's still where I put them under the radiator.
Your what?
My trainers.
Your slip-on for going to the corner shop shoe?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all right then.
I did think about picking them up and putting them on the shoe rack in one of the available spaces that's left.
I even have to think when I'm dressing now because sometimes
But I know damn well you
I'm in pain just bending down to put a pair of shoes on. I mean, I nearly went ass over tit in the bedroom the other morning putting my fucking trousers on.
Because you don't sit down. I've told you need to sit down.
Yeah.
hops around the place trying to put his trousers on, standing up. When he was 5, it was probably the best way of getting dressed. Now, no, because he can't stand on one leg. And then he wonders why he falls over.
It's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment with us, I tell you. Yeah, women do have to be a little clever, but then blokes have to be a little bit sneaky themselves sometimes, don't they, Missy?
No. Men think they get away with shit. I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, us women know exactly where you've been, what you've been doing, and you've gone away with nothing, mate. They just haven't pulled you up on it.
Tell them to order their own DJ. Oh, Sarah. She is in the channel sometimes. She's more active on Facebook. She lives down that way. And she's always posting what they get up to, Devon and Cornwall Police. You all try to be sneaky, but we know.
We do.
Yeah.
Men are terrible liars. They just think they're good at it.
The thing is, to be a good liar, you have to have a good memory. If you always tell the truth, you don't need that memory.
But you also need to know how to interpret that truth. Like, we are not going to put up taxes means we're going to put up NI.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the word taxes in it. It's not a tax. Well, actually, it is. Yeah. It's a fee. It's not a tax. It's a fee. Is that not a tax? Well,
it's like the old fisherman's one, isn't it? When I die, make sure she doesn't sell my fishing tackle for what I told her I paid for it.
Same is true of motorbikes.
Yeah.
And cars.
Yeah.
And for women, it's handbags and shoes.
Oh, there's many a tuning bit I bought under the guise of regular maintenance. Oh, that's a bit of a rattle that needs to be changed for 1, 3, 4 times the price and makes it go a bit faster.
Amazing how many women will say they bought something in the sale when it wasn't on sale.
Exactly. But I don't get to see that because she hates shopping with me. I hate shopping with me. I'm a fucking nightmare.
I don't mind shopping with you because sometimes you do that. Oh, I haven't had that in years. I haven't seen that in years. Can we have that? And I'm like, actually, I haven't had that in years. That'd be lovely. Or it's a tin of Spam, mate. You can you can keep it. I'm not having that. Spam. Wonderful spam.
Whoop whoop.
You come to no. It's the sound of the police.
It's the sound of the police.
Hello?
Oh, they are. Some of them. Is it me? Yeah, they are, DJ. Most of them now are just totally incompetent. They haven't got a clue what they're saying. They haven't got a clue what laws they're trying to enforce. And most of the time, they don't even know the laws. They just think people are stupid enough to listen to something they make up. But this is where the police went wrong when they started doing that shit. Because what it's done is forced people to look up the laws. Now, as I say, I don't watch a lot of auditors. And the odd one or two now and again I'll drop in on. But they've learned over the years, if you know the law, you can do what you want to do. As long as you stay within the law. The police try to say that, no, it's a law. And this is why they pay millions out every year in compensation to the public.
Because they got it wrong.
All right, Jen. Take care, sweetheart. Have a great bank holiday.
Good night, Jen. Take care. Have a good time.
And, you know, they try and enforce these laws on people that actually don't exist, but they know that arresting you is going to inconvenience you. You know, there is actually a set amount that they pay per hour for false detention and shit like that. They know they're doing it. And that they'll do it just to put bail restrictions on somebody. And I believe that's what they're going to do with Tommy when he's released. You know, I've always made it quite clear I don't particularly like the guy, but I believe what he does is right. You know, you don't have to like somebody to agree with what they say. But I think that's what they'll do. They can't put no restrictions on him for leaving and finishing his sentence, so they'll find another way of doing it. They do it all the time.
What are the two things that are out there?
One is harassment, causing fear of violence. And someone said the other one, I believe, which I haven't seen, it's some terrorist offence where he's accused of being a terrorist.
I wanted to say treason, but I knew it wasn't.
Yeah, but that's all they're recruiting now, Missy, because most people don't want it. The only two reasons to join the police, one is if you want to be a bully and you want to hurt people. And the other one is because, oh, I've got to have a job. I can go into that. And they're there for the wrong reasons. When I was a young kid, coppers that used to talk to me, they joined up because they wanted to make a difference. They wanted to stop crime. Nowadays, most of them are more likely to commit crime, even by the way they arrest people. So, yeah, and they do, some of them, Missy. They're bloody school kids.
If they've got to find a job somewhere, better future than joining the army.
Yeah, that's another thing that's slowly disappearing. Well, it's not slowly, it's disappearing quite fast now, is our armed forces. There are so many of them signing off and saying they're leaving at the end of their terms and whatever. Those that can afford it are actually buying themselves out, which you're allowed to do.
Didn't they say something about they were going to make it too expensive for people to do that or something to try and stop them?
They were going to try, yeah. They were going to put the prices up. But, you know, this is why they're paying millions now on a recruiting campaign. And as for that fucking MP, the idiot the other day, oh, we want to start the Home Defence Force. But basically what he wants is a dad's army to protect the infrastructure in this country, because if they send what they've got left of an army anywhere else, there's going to be nobody fucking here to defend the place.
My brain was singing the theme tune to Dad's Army before you even mentioned it.
Yeah, I've always said that, Missy. It's like they wanted to give the vote to 16-year-olds. How can a 16-year-old give an informative vote when they've never experienced life? Most of them will vote for who they've been told to vote. Most of them can't be bothered to vote at all nowadays. To be honest, if you look at a lot of the 16-year-olds, they don't give a fuck what's going on. They're doing what they want to do anyway. Hence the crime.
Starmer's always wanted a virgin to vote for him. Maybe he should lower the age to 12.
Well, the thing is, he's always pandered, well, they all have, for the Muslim vote. This is why it's gone that far in this country. But not all Muslims are bad. You know, you got the ones that follow the Islamist side, which is, we know, quite radicalised in most areas. But you have got the ones that just want to live quietly, live their life. I mean, there's even a few down in the city here that are coming out and giving their brethren and their brothers and or whatever they call them a bollocking for the state of the fucking areas. They said, well, you're doing it to yourselves. You know, you're the ones turning it into a shit pit. We don't want to live like this. We kept going, yeah. Pitchforks. But again, you know, you'll get the people that sign up for anything like that. They're the ones that won't go to the front line, shall I say, probably because they're not fit enough or whatever, but they're going to get their anger out if anything happens here. But I mean, the way I've always said, and I think what Starmer is pushing for, is to get us involved in a war, to make people kick off, which he's doing. He'll be able to install martial law. We're at war, no more elections. So in 4 years' time, whatever it is, nearly 4 years' time in it, he'll be working out a way to cancel the election. I've said that for quite some time now. Yeah, I saw that, Gordo. Personally, I think it was a bit of overreaction. Someone at that time of life, tasering is definitely a dangerous thing to do. Very dangerous. And to be honest, to look at him, I mean, it would cause him pain, but he was waving a knife about, although he was sat in the chair and couldn't get up. A simple baton strike on the wrist and he'd have dropped that knife. So personally, I think they went over the top. And it showed total lack of training. I'd like to see him like Mussolini's Scar. You know how he ended up. Yeah, I mean, someone that age, that frail, that old, one fucking leg. I mean, he wasn't really a threat to them, was he? You know? But they'll get through, oh no, it was necessary force. Again, the use of parlour spray, that could have injured him at that age. Yeah, exactly, Lothar. That's what I mean. He wants to drag us into something where he can cancel them. And I believe that is the only way he'd be able to do it. But really, if we had a king, he should have been stepping in by now. It'd be a lot of work for him, though. That's the trouble. And I think soon we're looking at having a prince regent rather than a king. Yeah, it was a bit funny, that one, that Gordo. Very suspicious. Yeah, total lack of training, that was, Missy. They just didn't know how to handle the situation. No empathy. Yeah, just straight in with the two most powerful weapons that they carry with them, unless they're a firearms officer, and they used them both. Yeah, exactly, Scar. Just keep him talking for half hour and he'd fall asleep. That would happen with me, to be honest, at the moment. I'd love to be hauled in for one of these fucking voluntary interviews and just sit there and fall asleep and start snoring. I'd want a copy of the tape. Because that's what would fucking happen. But we've seen this time and time again, Gordo. I mean, not just with our police. The Australians were bad for it. during the protests and meetings and rallies over there. I mean, the police were just charging through people, no matter what their age. Same as they did at the COVID freedom protests in London. You know, they just didn't give a fuck about anybody. And then they had the cheek 9 times out of 10, can you please move back? We're thinking of your safety. Fuck off at your age. You know, I've got this far in life without your fucking help. I ain't going to get it now. Piss off, you know. No, never heard of it, loafer. Thank you, Gordo. But yeah, there are a few channels out there they could have showed. The BBC's for one, that puts you to sleep, doesn't it? Yeah, but this is what I said, Sky. You know, they're concentrating more on people saying a hurty word, you know, and under the new European new European laws, the other ones they're going to be adopting, you know, harsh, hurty words are a bigger fucking crime than stabbing or raping somebody. I mean, you look at what the EU doing to Ireland now. They're forcing them to implement the hate speech laws. At the moment, Ireland are refusing to do it. You wouldn't think so, looking at the way they're guarding at, but they're actually forcing them under the threat of a fine for not doing more to shut down free speech. And that's from the EU, and that's what we're going back into. You think this lot are bad enough on their own? You wait to see if they sign these deals. But as I say, none of them, there's no information on any of them because nobody's worked anything out. All they've done is give an outline of what they intend to do or what they want to do. You know, Starmer got turned down flat for the one the other day, didn't he? With one of the European countries. Can't remember who it was now. But he wanted to do a deal on or something, and they said, no, not a bloody chance. On your bike. They're just meaningless words now, Scar. The oath that the police take when they sign up is just a waste of words. I mean, I had it a few years ago now. One copper telling me I had to answer his questions. I said, I don't have to answer you fuck all, mate. I don't have to talk to you if I don't want to. Yeah, it's illegal not to answer our questions. I said, read me my Miranda rights then. And he read the first line. I said, I'll stop you there. That explains it totally. I have the right to remain silent, which I will now do. Fuck off. And he didn't have a leg to stand on. He couldn't ask the questions, so he couldn't get anything out of me, so he had nothing on me. So they used the usual shit. And it wasn't as bad back then as it is now, but, oh, we're going to search you. The first thing I said, well, what are you searching for? Oh, well, we don't know. I said, well, you can't search me then unless you give me a fucking reason, pal. They did search me in the end, but I had nothing on me. Yeah, they are, Gordo. They are. But then, you know, everybody says, oh, you know, they came from the peelers. Well, the peelers were fucking terrible. They would actively go out looking for people to fucking beat. You know? You know, they didn't have the modern weapons like fucking tasers and pava spray, but they used to carry big clubs, not truncheons. And they would beat people. They were very corrupt. And they'd protect those that paid them. But for a long while now, I've always said all the police are now is the strong arm of the government. They keep yapping on about they're independent. They're not. They're far from it. Same as the justice system. Same as Ofcom. They're supposed to be an independent adjudicator, but now the government are controlling them. And I'm being honest. I've always said that yes, there should be some policing on social media. Yes, there should be things in place to protect children and vulnerable people. But every law they pass, every act they bring up, that is just a very small part of it. They use that excuse to persecute everybody else. You know, if they did as much to catch people that were doing these things online and abusing kids and shit like that, inciting riots, if they did as much to shut them down as they did to shut down people that are telling the truth, or in some cases even for putting up a funny meme, then the country would be a little bit better off. Yeah, they were when needed, Scar. But there again, you know, our local copper that used to come round the village, he'd rather give you a slap than nick you. As he used to say, I'll give you a slap, I'll take you home and tell your parents what you've been doing. You'll get another slap there. He said, and I won't have any paperwork to do out of it. But once they started bringing in quotas and stuff like that, you know, they forgot about detecting crimes. They just went more into creating crimes. You know, look at what they're doing to motorists now. All right, some of them that they're fining are breaking the law. But they're little, stupid, ridiculous things. You know, it's... Back in the day, it used to be, oh, the bulb's out. Yeah, okay. Well, in the law, it says I've got 5 days to fix it, providing I get a bit of ticket to say that it's been fixed. Not fucking all you out, seize your fucking motor. I mean, they've got the death knell out for motorists anyway. And that's all being aided by insurance companies. I mean, the young lad next door, he had a real nice Fiesta ST. Quite a recent car. 4 o'clock one morning out there, they came along and it took them 3.5 minutes to get the front bumper off, the whole of the front bumper. They broke 2 little bits of plastic. Now that's quite an expensive car. And guess what? Because the bumper was stolen, the insurance company wrote it off. And the bullshit excuse they gave was, oh, Ford don't make them bumpers anymore. Bullshit. Ford still make parts for cars going back 20, 30 years. So that was bullshit. But they wrote his car off because somebody stole the bumper off of it. The front bumper and the valance. I mean, it's a bolt-on part, for fuck's sake. You know, it would cost them more to write it off than it would do to repair it. Absolutely. 4 times, 5 times the amount. But they're literally doing everything to take as many cars off the road as they can. Yeah, and it's how they interpret it, Scar. You know, Sharia law got banned in this country. Blasphemy laws got banned in this country. So why are they still arresting people and charging them with what is basically blasphemy? The laws don't exist. You know, it's like they were still using certain terrorism acts and sections. They didn't even know they'd been repealed 10, 12 years ago. They still tried to push them through. Oh, they'll absolutely lie. Absolutely, they'll lie. We've said, you can sit here every day and watch new videos where the police are just out and out lying to people. I mean, that silly bitch, it was a little while back, telling a preacher that, oh, you can't sing hymns in public. You can only sing a hymn when you're in a church. What the fuck? Where she got that one from, I don't know. Yeah, it's hellishly expensive, Missy. Hellishly expensive. I mean, the last time we had our car, luckily enough, it was paid for by the insurance when they wrote Heather's drop top off. And that was repairable.
But only with second-hand parts on mine, because they didn't still make.
No, those parts were discontinued.
Because it was just such a short run. And they stopped making them 15 years ago.
I mean, it's one of the only cars that I've ever been involved with where the insurance company has paid out more on it than what you bought the thing for. So,
oh, there is a bargain.
That's what you get when you're clever enough to buy a drop top at the right time of year when nobody wants them.
January, February, when was it?
Yep.
I know the boys insisted on having the top down and the heating on when it was only 10 degrees outside.
All right, Loafer, no worries, mate. I'll be shutting down in a couple of minutes anyway. I just noticed the time. And as you can hear, my voice and my chest are getting a little bit bad again. But it's funny, even talking wears me out. Have a good one, Loafer. Stay safe, mate.
Night, Loafer.
Have a good bank holiday. And I will leave it there, guys. My fucking eyes. At least I haven't needed my puffer tonight. That's something. But thank you very much again for joining us on a Wednesday night, even if it is only for a couple of hours now.
Mayhem and madness.
Some days I do struggle to do that, but it's nice to catch up with people. But as always, thank you very much for being so respectful and thoughtful people in the chat. As I say every week, it's nice to see. Pardon me. And I do apologise for the wind tonight. But no matter what you're doing, next bank holiday weekend, Monday, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Monday's the only day this week.
Monday's the only day this week.
No, I'm losing what I was saying there.
The end of this weekend is a bank holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Next Monday is the bank holiday.
Let's leave it as it's good night from him.
And it's good night from the know-it-all in the background.
And as always, guys, stay safe, stay strong, stay free.
Stay wicked.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye all.